Hey everyone, good morning or good evening where I am. So is it 10 p.m.? Oh gosh, it's 11 p.m. where I'm at here in the Philippines. And I've been pretty much traveling all day. I left my I left my house at like 6 a.m. And I've had like a 12-hour trip. So before I go to bed, or before I forget, I wanted to come in here and tell you guys about traveling and how it's not as easy as you would think traveling is here. So, like the modes of transportation here are jeepneys, tricycles, which are like, how would you describe a tricycle? Yeah, so a tricycle is like a motorcycle with a sidecar. And that's like a frequent mode of transportation that we take here to go from like town to town. A jeepney is just like it's like these old World War II trucks that they use from the U.S. And they turn those into forms of public transportation. So there's tricycles, jeepneys, vans, buses, and then of course planes. There's no trains here because this is the land of 7,000 islands, so you're not catching a train anywhere. But you will find a pedicab, which is a pedicab is like a bicycle with a sidecar. So it's a little bit slower than a tricycle. But because this is the land of 7,000 islands, there's a lot of boats, a lot of ferries, and a lot of ferries that go across to different islands. So that's just to give you an idea of all the transportation that exists here in the Philippines. So let's talk about all the modes of transportation that I have taken just today alone. So right now I'm in Manila, or at least I had to come to the outer part of Manila. And I left my house at 6 in the morning. And like I said, it's 11 o'clock here, so you can tell I've had a long day. 6 a.m., I hopped on a van, and I took a van from my town to my capital. And I took a van. Usually I take a bus, but the van was the first thing that came by. So I got on the van, went to the capital. It took me about an hour. And then I transferred to another van because there's a specific company that I'm like a faithful customer to. So I transferred to another van, and here transportation, you can't just hop in public transportation and go. Like you have to wait for it to fill up. So I was the first one to get on the van, and I had to wait about 30 minutes for more passengers to fill up the van before we could leave. So even though I arrived at 7 a.m., we didn't leave until 7:30 or something like that. So took that van that I waited to fill up. I took that van to another town that was 3 hours away because that's where the nearest airport is. The nearest airport for me is like between 3 and 5 hours. So got in the van, went to the town where the airport is, and the van takes you to a terminal. So I still had to get from the terminal to the mall. And you're probably thinking, why are you going to the mall if you're going to the airport? So I took a taxi from the terminal to the mall because at the mall, that's the only place you can get on transportation to get to the airport. So in this whole big city in Iloilo, you can only go to the mall and catch those vans to get to the airport. So I transferred to another van. So by this time, I've taken 3 vans by now. I've taken 3 vans just to get to the airport. And like I said, with transportation here, you have to wait for it to fill up. So I waited 10 minutes for that van to fill up. And when it did, all of us were shuttled to the airport. Got to the airport, and of course, at this point in time, there is a storm. There is a typhoon coming through. So that's delaying all of the flights, including mine. So my flight got delayed. Finally, I got on, and there wasn't much turbulence, but what usually takes an hour to get from my island to Manila took 2 hours because of all the delays and cancellations. So I took my flight to Manila. And from Manila, like I said, my conference that I'm with the rest of my volunteers is outside of Manila. So I still had to transport some more. So by this time, I've landed at like 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, I take a taxi to another mall because the malls are where they have all the big transportations. So get on a taxi, go to another mall just to get on a bus. So by this time, let's just review. I've been on a van, another van, a taxi, a third van, an airplane, a taxi, just to get on a bus. Get on a bus, go to the outskirts of Manila, get off of the bus, and transfer to a jeepney. So I transferred to a jeepney, and I have luggage with me, so like I said, jeepney, maybe on my blog, there's a blog post, The Natural Travelista, of all the first things that I've done, and there's a picture of a jeepney. So go to my blog and you can see the picture of what a jeepney looks like. But I got on a jeepney and came all the way to the resort that I'm in now. So I'm here for my mid-service training with the rest of the people from my batch for the Peace Corps. We're just recapping our first year here in service, and I'll probably do another Periscope too about the trainings that we go through as volunteers. But yeah, transportation is not easy. So what is normally would normally take maybe an hour or 2 hours turned into a whole 5-hour adventure to the airport. And what usually takes maybe an hour or two to go from one island to the other takes more than 12 hours. So yeah, that's just my perspective as a volunteer who does not have a car and who cannot ride a motorcycle. That's what we have to do on a frequent basis for transportation. So if you would like to hear more videos or more scopes about my experience here in the Peace Corps, what transportation is like and things like that, just give me a heart, show some love, and I'll also post this to my blog, The Natural Travelista. Like I said, it's 11 o'clock. I still have not been to bed. I've spent more time on transportation than anything else, so I'm going to go get some rest. I will see you guys later. Thank you for joining in. Bye-bye.